iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office? It's open, my friends. Wow, another big week. Some crazy games, some high-scoring games, some low-scoring games. Let's take a look at what I saw in week number 9. Let's begin with the Giants and the Eagles. Some things I want to talk about here. First of all, Paul Perkins getting the same number of carries as Rashad Jennings. Also the same number of receptions. And you know what? Paul Perkins outperformed Rashad Jennings. 32 yards rushing to 26, 15 yards receiving to 13. I'm not saying he's better, but Rashad Jennings, he's been around this game longer. He should be doing more than that. But the key to the game was Eli Manning. 4 touchdown passes. The problem with Eli Manning is you just can't rely on him. In a total points league, I think Eli is fine because he gives you the numbers overall on the whole season. But week to week, this guy can kill you. One week he's great, and the next week he sucks. Like next week against Cincinnati, I want no part of Eli. This week he was great. What can I tell you? Sterling Shepard Roto had 1 touchdown. Odell Beckham had 2. So, he's finally getting his receiver set. The bye week helped the Giants. But the Giants need a running game. We've said it before, we said it again. Rashad Jennings is not that guy. For Philadelphia, they got into a hole. It was 21-10 at the half. Carson Wentz did not have a good first half, but it was much better in the second half, and they had a legitimate chance to win this game. Darren Sproles had 13 carries. Ryan Matthews had 5. Ryan Matthews is not part of this team here, I'm telling you. Kenyon Barner had the touchdown. Wendell Smallwood, 2 for 25. Doesn't everybody want to see more Smallwood? But I think it's interesting here that Zach Ertz had 8 receptions for 97 yards. Remember, earlier last week, they're like, Wentz and Ertz are not, they don't understand each other. They're not meshing. Well, 8 for 97 means they're meshing pretty darn well, I think. All right, next. The Cowboys against the Cleveland Browns. Say what you will, but there was no reason Cleveland should have been playing Cody Kessler. But maybe the reason is they want the number 1 pick in the draft. Maybe they'll take Deshaun Watson and they'll be done. I don't know. Cody Kessler is a career backup in the NFL. This guy's not a starter. Terrell Pryor did well, had a touchdown. Corey Coleman was okay in his first game back, nothing special. But when Kessler's there, Duke Johnson and Gary Barnidge do nothing. Nothing. When McCown's there, he gets everybody involved. For Dallas, man, Dak Prescott, once again, 21 for 27, 247 yards and 3 touchdowns. Do you know how good he was? He was so good that Mark Sanchez got in the game. That's how good Dak Prescott was. Ezekiel Elliott, 18 for 92 and 2 touchdowns. Jason Witten, 8 for 134 and a touchdown. I love how Dak is starting to use Jason Witten. And he goes to his boy Cole Beasley, 6 for 56 and a touchdown. I didn't love Beasley this week, but I was wrong. Des Bryant, 1 for 19. That was basically a 0 for people. A 0. Here's another guy who was a 0 for people. How about Le'Veon Bell? 14 carries for 32 yards, 6 receptions for 38 yards. Really? Has it come to that? That's pretty bad. Even Antonio Brown did nothing for the entire first half. Ben looked terrible until the fourth quarter. Brown finishes up with 85 yards and a touch. Eli Rogers looked good. But here's my takeaway from this game. I am never playing Sammy Coates. That guy drops too many easy passes. And yes, he'll have some good weeks, but I don't want to stomach the bad weeks. I really don't. For Baltimore, Terrence West, 15 carries, Kenneth Dixon, 9. I'm going to give you an early narrative. Terrence West against his old Cleveland Browns. This may be his last big week. I think on a short week, you're not going to get Dixon more involved. I don't think so. I think you go back to West this week. But I think in the next 10 days after that, I think Kenneth Dixon does get more involved. I think he does. But you couldn't be more involved than Mike Wallace, 4 for 124 and a touchdown against his whole team. You know, I believe in these narrative plays. Mike Wallace gets that catch, and man, a 95-yard touchdown, he's just going a little bit faster when he knows it's the Steelers. Don't you think? I know I think so. I know I do. All right, the Jaguars and the Kansas City Chiefs. Blake Bortles once again duping people into thinking he's good. 252 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let me give you a clue. He sucks. Okay? Allen Hurns leaves the game with an injury. Marquise Lee's value skyrockets next week. He would be a must, I repeat, a must start next week if Allen Hurns is out in any format. I'll say that right now. They're at Detroit. Next week they've got Houston. That's it. I'm all in on Marquise Lee if Allen Hurns is out. Allen Robinson, 7 for 76 and a touchdown. TJ Yeldon, 5 for 32 and a touchdown. Chris Ivory had 107 yards rushing, so I guess Nathaniel Hackett did something with the ground game. I don't know what, but he did something. I think the game that confused everybody here, Charkandrick West, really imploded. 13 carries, 39 yards, 3 receptions, 35 yards. Look, Spencer Ware is the dude. Charkandrick West is a backup. He's not a star. But I have to say something here. I was very disappointed in Travis Kelce. That was absolutely and positively pass interference. I couldn't agree with him more. At the same time, you don't throw a towel at the ref. You're a pro. Act like one. You're not a kid. Your team needs you. They almost lost this game. 19-14, the Jaguars had a chance. Seriously. If they lose that game, I think you could blame Travis Kelce for that. Plus, I could blame the coaching staff for playing Jeremy Maclin when this guy was obviously not healthy. Guy killed me in every fantasy league. Zeros for Maclin everywhere. Zeros. Awful. All right, Jets and Dolphins. Just today, Adam Gase says he's not going away from Jay Ajayi. He's not going away from him. Don't believe it for a second. He hates this guy. He hates him. But he can't stop him. The guy's had 200 yards 2 weeks in a row, 100 yards and a touchdown. You can't stop him. So you got to play him. But let me tell you, this is like John Elway playing Tim Tebow. He doesn't like it. He's doing it, but he doesn't like it. What I don't like is Ryan Tannehill. How disgusting is this? 17 for 28, 149 yards and a touchdown. I mean, really? I guess the Miami Dolphin fans are happy because they're winning. But are you watching great football? I don't think so. I think you're watching boring football. Jarvis Landry, 3 for 33. This guy used to be a lock for 15 points. Come on, guys. Come on. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I just think it's time to see what Bryce Petty can do. The Jets are 3-6. It's done. You're in the division with the Patriots. Give me a break. Seriously. Can we just see what Bryce Petty can do at this point? They've got the Rams this week, then they're on bye. I've got to say, I want to see Bryce Petty in week 12. I need to see it at this point. I can't watch it anymore. Ryan Fitzpatrick stinks. And all the credit in the world to the Jets front office who didn't want to overpay this guy. They knew better. All Jet fans, we got to get Fitzpatrick. Really? $12 million for this pig? Seriously. Awful. Matt Forte, 12 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. His touchdown run, nobody touched him. I mean, really, this Dolphin defense is not very good. When the Jets are putting up 23 on you, you know you're not very good. One concern there, where is Quincy Enunwa? Brandon Marshall had 9 targets. Next was Robbie Anderson. Where is Quincy? Where is Quincy? I'd rather have Jack Klugman than Quincy Enunwa. Good for you if you know that reference. All right, Detroit Lions 22, Minnesota Vikings 16. The Minnesota Vikings and other teams like the Green Bay Packers, I've never seen teams kill themselves more with their bad coaching and play calling. Now, I have all the respect in the world for Mike Zimmer. But, when Detroit is the worst team in the NFL covering the tight end, and Kyle Rudolph gets 1 reception, do you not think that's a problem? You throw in a Diggs. I know there's no Slay. I get that. You throw in a Patterson. You're throwing a Thielen. How do you not throw to Rudolph? Even Brock Osweiler, the pathetic wretch that he is, made 10 completions to tight ends. I don't understand that. That's terrible. So I don't think Minnesota's anybody to blame but themselves. Sam Bradford played well enough to win, but the Viking defense didn't play that well. They're not getting to the passer. I mean, they're not running the ball. This is a team that's barely hanging on to make the playoffs. This was a team that everybody thought was so good. I don't even know if they make the playoffs right now. Dare I say the Lions were better? Matthew Stafford goes to Theo Riddick. They've got Eric Ebron, 7 receptions for 92 yards, 11 receptions for 79 yards and a touchdown to Golden Tate. By the way, that touchdown for Golden Tate, that is why you pay Golden Tate what you do. Because he really kills it. That guy has a nose for the end zone. Really does. Very impressive. And let me ask you this. I need to do some, I wish I had a stat guy. I need an intern. Anybody wants to be Dr. Roto's intern, you call me up. We'll find a spot for you here. I want to know how many teams that have good tight ends are successful. Think of it this way. Let me see if I can do that. Maybe I don't need a stat guy. Arizona, no tight end. Atlanta, yeah, they use the tight end. Buffalo, no real tight end. Baltimore, I don't even call Pitt a tight end. Carolina, tight end. Right? If you use your tight end, your team is usually better off. Usually better teams use their tight end. Maybe it's better to look at who are the bad teams that use their tight end. Probably not enough. Probably not enough. Be an interesting thing to look at. All right, Carolina and the Rams. Jeff Fisher gets the award for the most stubborn man in America award because he's still delusional enough to think that Case Keenum should be his quarterback. Listen, at some point, Jeff, your fan base is clamoring for Jared Goff. You have to let him out there. You have to let him see what he can do. You got to give this dude a start or two. You have to. Now, next week, they have the Jets. Then you're home for Miami. You have New Orleans, New England, Atlanta, Seattle, San Francisco. You got to get him in there. We got to see what this guy can do. Certainly, week 16 in San Francisco, needs to be a Jared Goff week. If not before then. Todd Gurley, 12 carries, 48 yards. It's not good enough. Lance Kendricks, once again, is leading your team in receiving, not by a little, but by a lot. 12 targets, 90 yards. The next closest guy has 7 targets. The next most yards is 49. It's not good enough. Carolina wasn't that much better. 225 yards for Cam Newton. This is like the old Cam Newton, not last year's Cam Newton. This is like the stinky Cam Newton. He's just not playing very well. I only have him in one league and I regret it. I paid $15 in the auction for him. And the minute I said 15, I regretted it. Regretted it when Drew Brees went for 12. And I'm like, I cannot believe I just overpaid for Newton. Really? Jay Stewart had 42 yards. Benjamin, 76. Olsen does his thing. Olsen's just Mr. Reliable. How do we not like Olsen? Olsen's just a really good player. All right, New Orleans and San Francisco. Got to give credit to Sean Payton. This team's 4-4 now. Really, team's 4-4. Playing well. Drew Brees, 323 yards and 3 touchdowns. But I think it was the running game there. We know San Francisco's the worst rushing game in the world. Worst run defense. Ingram gets 158 yards and a touch. Hightower gets 87 yards and a touch. 42 carries, 248 yards. 6 yards a carry. That's really amazing stuff. Amazing. And speaking of amazing, Michael Thomas has amazed me this year. 5 receptions, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. How good is this guy? Seriously, how good is he? He's been great. Colin Kaepernick played well, but that's only because the Saints stink. 398 yards and 2 touchdowns. A lot of my fellow experts had him. I didn't. I guess I should have had naked Kaepernick, as Willie Walls would say. Dwan Howard, I got to give credit to Sky Atkins. He called me at 12:30. He's like, dude, at 3,000, you've got to have him in your lineup. 10 carries, 59 yards, 5 receptions, 83 yards, and a touchdown. I only had him in one lineup. That was a regret. I should have had him in more. $3,000? Seriously? For 10.9 for like 26 points? That was like 9 times his value. 9 times his value. It's pretty amazing. All right, Tennessee and the San Diego Superchargers. Superchargers win this game. Phillip Rivers, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns. But it's Melvin Gordon, 32 carries, 196 yards and a touch. 4 receptions, 65 yards. That was a game, man. Antonio Gates, this was a Gates week, 5 for 75 and a touchdown. We called it. We certainly called that one. Dontrell Inman, 6 for 56 because Benjamin is hurt. For Tennessee, San Diego's got a good run defense. DeMarco Murray only at 51 yards and a touchdown. And he had that touchdown very late in the game when they didn't care as much. Rashard Matthews, 6 for 63. A lot of touchdowns recently. But Mariota, 313 yards, 3 touchdowns. Good for him. It was good for him. Played well. Delaney Walker, 5 for 42 and a touchdown. I wasn't even sure he was going to play. All right, the game that absolutely shocked me more than anything. The Colts beating the Packers. I think in life, certain people get the benefit of the doubt. And I think Mike McCarthy's one of these guys. I think he gets the benefit of the doubt, but I'm done with it. This was the worst job of play calling I've ever seen. Don Jackson and Aaron Ripkowski shouldn't be running the ball. Why aren't they throwing the ball to Ty Montgomery out of the backfield? He had 3 receptions. When Richard Rodgers has 10 targets, something is wrong. Wrong. Give me a break. Seriously. You've got Devontae Adams, you've got Ty Montgomery, you got Randall Cobb, you got Jordy Nelson, and you're throwing to Richard Rodgers? You deserve to lose this game. You deserve it. Aaron Rodgers was not great, admittedly. His one touchdown was to Jordy Nelson, who that was a broken play. That was a penalty. Green Bay, not very good. And I'm telling you, looking forward there, who do they have the rest of the way? Tennessee, Washington, Philadelphia. 3 road games. Then it's Houston, Seattle, Chicago, Minnesota. Not an easy way the rest of the way. They're going to have to win 3 on the road. For Indianapolis, all the credit in the world to Andrew Luck. There was a play. He was on the ball on like his 1-yard line. He stood back there and he gunned one to Philip Dorsett. That was a big play. That was a real big play. And at the end of the game, real big pass to T.Y. Hilton. Great job. Really great job. Frank Gore, speaking of great jobs, 2 rushing touchdowns. Very underappreciated guy. Jack Doyle, 5 for 61. Bye-bye, Dwayne Allen. You stink. T.Y. Hilton was good. Moncrief, 3 for 55 and a touchdown. He's getting those touchdowns, Moncrief. And then finally in the Sunday night game, man, Oakland just ran the ball beautifully. 43 carries, 218 yards, 114 by Latavius Murray, and 3 touchdowns. Jalen Richard, though, he's a fun guy to watch, man. He is fast. 8 carries, 62 yards. Very little Michael Crabtree, only 2 for 27, but they threw to him 6 times. Amari Cooper, 6 for 56. I didn't love Cooper this week. 11 was more than I expected. 11 was more than I expected. But I got to tell you something. Trevor Siemian, 18 for 37, 283 yards. But you had the one big one to Capri Bibbs. Take that out, and he was only at 220. That's why you're not winning. Devontae Booker, 22 rushing yards. Please. Booker was terrible. Terrible. He was 4 points in a PPR. Virgil Green had 5.7. And you got to, the targets were there for Thomas and Sanders, but where's the accuracy? I know Denver's 6-3, but this is the worst 6-3 I've ever seen. The worst 6-3 I've ever seen. So let's get to preview tonight's game. The Bills in Seattle. We talked a little about this on Friday. I really don't like the Bills at all tonight. I think the only chance they have is if LaShawn McCoy plays and he can get 100 yards, and if Tyrod Taylor can make things happen. And when I say make things happen, show his mobility. Maybe get 150 yards and a passing touchdown, maybe run for 60 yards, maybe a rushing touchdown. Taylor's going to have to do a lot. I really think this is a Christine Michael night. I think he gets 100 yards and a touchdown. I think the Bills' defense is very fast and aggressive, and I think Russell Wilson's not going to have a big night. I think this is a big night for kickers. Hauschka, Carpenter, kickers and defense. That's what we're going to see tonight. Doesn't sound pretty. You know why? Because it's not. All right, right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. I want to encourage you to check out scoutfantasy.com, enter the promo code ROTO, that's R-O-T-O, or RONIS, R-O-N-I-S, to get yourself a big savings. You pay for 1 month, we'll get you 2 more for free. It's as simple as that. We'll be back tomorrow to check out the waiver wire and to check out the box scores to look for hidden gems, right? Hidden Gem Tuesday. So have a great day, guys. Be well. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!